so today I want to talk about this what I call a magic little blues chord shape. This is great. I use this a lot. I've used it for years and years. Lots of other people use it, but you might not know about it, so I'm going to tell you about it just in case. So what it is, it's an altered chord, and so by that I mean it's not a straightforward major or minor. It's something which has got extra notes added. So when you learn chords and you learn things like a G7 or an A7 or possibly a B minor 7, anything with a number involved, I'm thinking of those as altered chords. Technically they're called extended chords. So this one's an altered chord or extended chord, and it's great for blues. And what it is, it's this shape here. So if I take A, the key of A as an example, so as you probably know, there's an A chord there, an A minor. You might know an A7 like this. So what this shape is, it looks like that. Now A is a good example key because I can get an open A bass note as a root note. It's that. I could do this anywhere. It's a movable shape, so I could do it in A flat, but I can't hit that anymore. I'd have to put my thumb over the top to get the root note, the bass note, and then mute the A string. It's a bit more awkward, so I'll stick with A for now. So what's so good about it? Well, that chord shape in the key of A, that is an A6, and the 6 chord, a major 6, that's used in blues quite a lot. It's used in jazz, and it's used in blues quite a lot. Slightly more sophisticated blues playing, you're going to hear that a lot. In more basic blues playing, you're going to hear mostly 7th chords or maybe 9th, but the 6 is used in slightly fancier sounding blues, like jazzier blues, I suppose. So that's an A6. So you'd use that instead of an A7 in a blues. So let's say you had a blues sequence where you were using A7 to D9, like something like that. You could use this instead. Or you could use it instead of one of the A7s. You know, you could go A7, D9, and then A6. Like that. So you can interchange these chords. You know, you can use a 7, then a 6, and you can mix them up in a blues. So that's an A6, right? So what's magic about it? What's so cool about it? Right, it sounds nice, but that's not the cool thing. What it is if I move it back 2 frets. Now, if you know anything about music and you know about the theory of that, you'll probably know that's a G6. So if I put a G bass note on, because I've just moved the A6 back 2, so A flat 6, G6. If it's A6 there, must be a G6 there, must be an F6 there, a C6 there. So it's always going to be a 6 chord, yeah? That's how chords work. So that's G6. But if I decide that that isn't a G chord, it's still an A chord, so I'm deciding that the root note is an A. Well, there isn't an A being played here, but if I hit my A bass note. Now, the way those notes all work in relation to an A makes that chord an A9. Now, this is a bit confusing because you think, well, hang on, you just said it was a G6. And it is. If you're saying that G is the root note, then what you do is to work out a chord name, you look at the individual notes in the chord and check what their relationship is to the root note. So for example, if I'm saying this is a G chord, then this note here is a G note. That's the root note. This one here is a 3rd in relation to G. This one is a 6. This one's a root note again. So that chord shape has got root notes, 3rds and 6s. So it's a G6. But if I say it's an A chord, put the A bass note on, that's no longer a root note because it's a G. Well, G isn't the root note of an A chord. So that now becomes a 7 or flat 7. So that these numbers of these notes in relation to A are different to what they are in relation to G or any other root note. So what they happen to be in the key of A, this one is the flat 7, and then this one is the 5th. So you've got the flat 7, the 5th, the 9th, and the flat 7 again. Now, those notes in relation to an A make that an A9 chord. So this is an A9, which is also a chord that you could use in a blues instead of an A7. So I can use my A6 here with the open bass note, A9 A9 there. And they're both substitutes for an A7. So now in my blues, instead of going like that, I could go like that. So I'm using both of those chords as A chords, and that's what's really cool about that shape. The only thing it does do, when like in that example I played, is it makes the D sound a bit static and a bit boring. So I want to move the D as well. So obviously what I could do is I could go up to here and do the same thing for D. I haven't got an open string that I can play there, but I can get my thumb there. A little bit awkward with the thumb, so you're better off relying on a bass player to hit a low D. So that would be a D6 to a D9, and A6 to A9. You can go to the E, D, A. So there I did E6 to E9, and then that chord suddenly became D6, even though it was just E9. D6, D9, A6, A9. Hope this is making sense. So I'll just using those simple shapes, I'll just run through that and I'll put the names of the chords here. So and it doesn't have to be in that rhythm or that sort of sequence of the 6 going to the 9. You can swap it around, you know, or just randomly move it around. Now this would make a lot more sense if I had some kind of backing track going there. I should have pre-recorded a bass line, but I didn't. But hopefully you can hear it anyway. So it's a really good shape to know if you're into blues and slightly jazzier sounding blues. You think people like Robin Ford and Matt Schofield and people like that, you're going to hear that chord used quite a lot. Steely Dan used to use it as well in some of their bluesier things. I think something like Pretzel Logic might have that in, I think. We should check that. What else? Red House, Jimi Hendrix, he uses it in that somewhere, I think. It's a really good shape, really good one to know. And it's so easy, because once you've got the shape, you just move it. You don't have to change shape at all. But A is the best key to practice that in, because you can get the open A. So just to make sure you've definitely got the shape, in the key of A, first finger's on the root, so that's 5th fret on the 1st string. My 4th finger is on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 6th fret. 3rd finger on the 4th string, 7th fret. And then that's an A6 if I'm putting an A bass note on it. What is it if I put a B bass note on it? B9. Hope you understand that okay. So yeah, A6, and then move it back there, keep the A bass note, it's now an A9. So that's my magic blues chord trick lesson thing. Any questions, please put them in the comments. If you want another lesson on these kind of altered blues shapes, then let me know. I know lots of these little things that I think are quite cool if you're into blues playing. So let me know in the comments. And please click like if you like this one. And subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, thanks.